Hi, I'm your Sheriff, Gerald Sticker. If you're watching this presentation, first, thank you for taking time to learn more about funding the future of TPSO. To start, we invite you to take out your cell phone and either take a picture of this QR code or go to tpso.org/vote in one of your web browsers. This will allow you to follow along with the presentation on your phones, where you will be able to read along at your preferred pace. Again, that's tpso.org/vote, or snap a picture of this QR code. When you get there, click on the full screen version of the info booklet at the bottom. So we're going to start with the big picture. The TPSO operates on its heels daily as an understaffed, underfunded law enforcement office compared to the population size we serve. The comparable statistics with other similar or nearby agencies proves it. Looking at other sheriff's offices, smaller, bigger, and equal size, looking at other agencies inside our parish, we're at the bottom by a lot. That's in manpower and in pay. Let's talk about manpower first. According to the FBI, the national average of law enforcement staffing is 2.4 members for every 1,000 people. We've got that formula there for you at the bottom to do the math at your leisure. But as for TPSO, the average number should be 335. However, we are currently budgeted at 267 positions. That does not mean filled positions, by the way. That just means what we have the ability to fund fully, all at one time. When you look at everyone else on this chart, they're all above the average. If you're following on your phone, you'll see the weekly feature section of the page listed above the info booklet. We added the rest of the Tangipahoa law enforcement agencies that we couldn't fit on the info booklet page, and we addressed the question of doing our calculation with the entire parish population. As a primary law enforcement agency for the entire parish, the full population is our responsibility, as Louisiana law considers our jurisdiction the entire parish, unincorporated and incorporated areas. The TPSO statistics for Assist Other Agency Calls, or AOA, support that we frequently serve within the parish's municipalities, which means our manpower is stretched across all 823 square miles and for all of our 139,000 residents. Let's also talk about the staff we need to serve the jail populations, which come from all corners of the parish and beyond. So let's talk about the pay these folks are getting to run from call to call and manage hundreds upon hundreds of accused and convicted criminals, bottom of the barrel again. When I got here last year, our deputies were making $13 an hour. On day one, I was able to bump that up to $16 after reworking the budget in the months leading up to taking office. At the 1 year mark, I bumped it up again to between 16 and a little more than 18 by eliminating a number of positions we just cannot get people to apply for and fill because of the pay. As it stands today, we're between 50 and 60 open jobs. That is on top of the fact that we just shared that our full staffing figure is less than the national average. But let's show you what that means for you and your family. Take a look at the map on the left side. Right now, each 12-hour shift we run, there's a max of 12 deputies on the road across the entire parish. That's if we're full staff. The reality, at this very moment, there are probably only 7 covering 823 square miles trying to protect almost 140,000 people. We take on average 71 calls a shift, so that's about 6 calls an hour. So every single one of our deputies are working 1 call an hour. If the drive time, response, and report creation last within an hour's time before they're on their way to the next call. Odds are many calls do not resolve in an hour, and some require a response from more than 1 deputy. Quite frankly, this is why people come here to commit crimes, because they know we can't keep up. They know we can't be everywhere we should be. They know we can't be proactive to stop them before they strike. But we have a plan that will send the message that Tangi is no longer a criminal playground. The plan we're proposing will get closer to the national average, and it'll get us competitive with pay. We're not even asking you to bring us to the top of that list we showed you. We're just trying to get to the middle. We believe this pay will get good people interested in working here, especially people who live in the parish but work outside because of the pay. We know this hiring increase will put us on the offense against crime. We're putting more bodies on the streets, in the schools, on the drug front, in the jail, conducting traffic control and enforcement, taking your calls, investigating your cases, and patrolling the water. And that map will now have at least 17 spread across it for each 12-hour shift, dedicating half the shift to answering calls, while the other half conducts proactive activities to deter or find crime before it affects your families. Before we dive into how you can help us, we want to give you an idea of how we came up with this proposal. It's based around the cost of onboarding a brand new deputy, taking into account the training like post-certification, equipment like uniforms and duty belt, including a weapon, taser, handcuffs, and radio, and the salary and benefits. We invest almost $125,000. And right now, that investment ends up walking away with that deputy who leaves us to get better pay somewhere else. It's a costly cycle that continues to leave us frustrated and you vulnerable. So how do we change this? On November 15th, the Law Enforcement District proposition will be on your ballots. What you see is the exact wording that will be at the polls. We don't like the length or the legalese, but it's mostly what's required. We encourage you to take the time to read it in full at some point before Election Day, but for the sake of time, we've got it summarized for you. The proposition eliminates a 10 mil property tax, currently on the books that you renewed in 2020, and it would come up again in 2030 if left in place. Second, the proposition creates a 3/4% sales tax parish-wide that expires in 10 years. This is a change we heard from many of you from our last request. If voters approve this, your last tax bill that will include this millage will be the one you receive this December, because tax bills are mailed out before Election Day. If voters approve this, the 3/4 of 1 cent starts getting collected in April, but will not start coming in to TPSO until July. So our budgeting protocol will change to become more like you, where you get a paycheck every other week as opposed to getting the entire year's salary on January 1 and managing that finite amount until December 31. And to be clear, when this administration took over, we were left with $7 million in the bank. Not $7 million extra. There was no surplus. It was $7 million to cover 6 months of bills, with the payroll bill alone costing more than $1 million every month. I mentioned this before, but fortunately, our team of highly qualified financial experts were able to scrub this budget for excess spending and develop new revenue sources, so we are on the path to never looking at a few dollars and some change left in an account balance ever again. But that work they've done just stabilizes a deficient operation. It doesn't fix it or grow it. What will grow it is this proposition. With the trade of the millage going away, which is $9 million, and the sales tax coming into play, which is $25 million, we're looking at a net of $16 million new dollars each year. That breakdown is going to be $4.5 million to hire about 50 additional deputies, as well as equip and train them. Keep in mind, not all hires will happen in the first year, so not all that money will be spent at once, especially since money trickles in throughout the year. In addition, we're accounting for attrition and still having some level of turnover. We've allocated $7 million to provide competitive pay rates that include longevity and educational incentives. The goal is getting base pay to at least $21 an hour. Having this supported by a sales tax allows us to better keep up with the community's growth. Lastly, another $4.5 million will elevate our effort to enhance technology and equipment in order to bring the agency up to an operational level required for more effectiveness. This includes things like adding dash cameras with license plate readers to all units, AEDs, mass casualty level first aid kits, and crime scene kits. And this part is on a 10-year growth plan that includes growing the traffic team, outfitting a North End substation, creating youth programs, starting a Citizens Academy, and even hosting our own Post Academy and training, so eventually not only are we not spending so much money on training, but we're setting ourselves up to bring in even more new revenue. So in summary, voting yes on this ballot item gets us and you a proactive law enforcement agency. It will enable TPSO to increase efforts to combat the growing threats of drug trafficking, violent crime, and other criminal activities that have become more prevalent in our community. With additional deputies, law enforcement will be able to respond faster, investigate more cases, and implement effective prevention strategies. Let's dig in a bit more as to what this proposal will do for you. Property owners in Tangipahoa Parish will benefit from a reduction in their tax burden. Specifically, the proposal calls for the repeal of the existing 10 mil ad valorem property tax. On average, this saving can range from 10 to 15% per property. That is an average reduction of $100 a year for every $100,000 of property assessment. I'm going to take you through an exercise to break this down for your exact situation in a minute. But first, let's talk about what 0.75% means. It is just this simple, folks. Less than 1 penny on every dollar you spend. So this proposition will add a little more than 5 cents to your $7 grande 7 brew drink. It adds 75 cents to your $100 Walmart shopping trip for the new school shoes for the kids. It adds $3.75 for that new $500 iPhone purchase. And we're talking $75 on a $10,000 new appliance or vehicle purchase. This small cost will allow for an equal contribution to safety from all residents and visitors that benefit from our service and the protection while in the parish. The sales tax will be applied to all sales transactions within Tangipahoa Parish, regardless of the buyer's location. This means that both residents of the parish and those traveling into or through the area will contribute to the funding of the public safety services so that the financial responsibility doesn't fall solely on local property owners. This is also going to allow us to offer more services more frequently, but ultimately it will help get on the offense against crime and truly begin proactively policing. I mentioned before helping you see your personal savings on this proposition, so let's get those cell phones out again and scan this QR code. This is going to the Parish Assessor's Office. In case you didn't know this existed, the Assessor's website offers anyone a free search of their property assessments across the parish. Once you have this page up, choose the Search Assessment option and type in your address. Sometimes it can be a little stubborn on how you enter words like street or road, so either leave those off or just search your name instead. If you own multiple properties, you'll want to search your name anyway. From here, once you find your property, scroll down the results page until you get to the listing of taxes. Find the line that reads Sheriff. That is what the proposition will be saving you each year. So many of you are seeing at least $100 in savings. But you need to be aware that $100 savings is not equal dollar for dollar on what you're spending on the sales tax front. Remember that sales tax is less than a penny on every dollar. So if you're saving $100 on the property tax, you'd have to spend more than $13,000 on taxable consumable goods for this proposition to cost you more than it's saving you. If you want to calculate exactly how much you would have to spend in order to equal what you're saving, take that number from the assessor's website, divide it by 0.0075. That's 2 zeros. And that number is what you would have to spend to break even between the drop in the millage and the addition of the sales tax. And while you're doing that calculation of your own, here's an example for you. The Jones family will save $250 a year in property taxes. That $250 savings amount is equal to the sales tax collected if the Jones spent $33,300 $333 in taxable consumable goods. They'd have to spend more than $33,333 to lose money on this proposition. If you're a business owner, make sure you take into account the savings on all of your inventory too, because that millage is a portion of your inventory tax rates. Here we have a reminder of the important dates for this election. Early voting begins November 1st, while Election Day is November 15th. I'll leave you with this final thought. We're a public service agency. We rely 100% on public funding, and I'm as opposed to new taxes as many of you are. But quite frankly, we can't do this alone. This is a partnership, and I'm asking you, the citizens of Tangipahoa Parish, to come alongside of the men and women of this sheriff's office and properly support them.